Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the IDP podcast. I am so excited. Like I am literally jumping for joy because I've got none other than T. Lopez here, guys. Let me give you a little introduction of who she is if you don't know, because if you don't know, you better know. T. Lopez is an award-winning recording artist and TV and radio personality. She was tapped by Nuvo TV to host the signature music variety show The Drop on its first English language network. She went on to host the award-winning, nationally syndicated Latinx, which, by the way, that's where I thought I knew I recognized you from.
Yes.
American Latino and LATV's Wrigley's Five Gun Battle of the Bands reality show, where she served as a host, judge, and producer. Triple threat, guys. Then signed on to be the face and voice of McDonald's McCafe National In-Store Network, the M Channel. T currently hosts PBS World Music Program Musicology, as well as Dash Radio's weekly live international show Mom Life Yo, which she co-created and co-produces, which I listen to, by the way. Plug. The singer-songwriter has enjoyed critical acclaim and international success as a member of the female singing group Soluna, touring with Grammy Award-winning superstars Enrique Iglesias and Mark Anthony. As a member of the multi-platinum recording label Cash Money Records, T built an impressively diverse music resume, boasting collaborations with renowned artists as Lil Wayne, T-Pain, and Glasses Malone. She also had the #1 hit Mentirosa with A.B. Quintanilla and the Cumbia Kings in South America, which I thought I recognized you from that song. So I know this person. I know who she is. T's latest single collaboration with Mexican megastar C-Can surpassed 30 million views on YouTube. T's married to Scratch DJ Academy LA founder DJ Hapa, who's got an awesome podcast, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Together, they have 2 beautiful daughters. They are adorable, who keep their lives very busy and occasionally join them on tour and on stage. T enjoys sharing with her fans and followers across the globe the in and outs of life in the fast lane as a mom, wife, and woman in the limelight. I'm telling you, I'm freaking out, guys. T,
Awesome.
welcome. Thank you for coming on.
I'm gonna take you everywhere you go, everywhere I go, and I'm just gonna be like, no, he's better at introducing me than I am.
I'll be your hype man all day. I was gonna say, yeah, come on, get up. So,
I feel so special.
well, T, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am excited. I think the audience, I gave the great introduction, but I think they'd love to get a little bit more about you and kind of what, we all know you're an artist, but tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of everything and what you're doing and what you're working on right now.
Well, currently, I mean, you read my bio, so a lot of that are things that I've done throughout. I've had 20 years in this business, so it's been a lot of that. My kids now are 5 and 3. So since I've had my kids, life has changed dramatically, not in the sense that I stopped working, stopped doing anything that I do in the artist realm, in the entertainment business realm, but it definitely it shifted my priorities to, family first and what my purpose in life is. Like, I think before that it was more about the credits on my resume and building those up, because that's what you do. You're on your grind, you're on your hustle. You want to make a name for yourself in a certain business, and so you go. And for me, it was always about, what's the next big thing. And now it's more about me and my family and figuring out what our real purpose is here, just on earth, on the planet, and then going, okay, how can we make our work life align with that? How can we make our personal life align with that?
Oh my gosh, you are like preaching to the choir here with that. That is something that I know for me is the most important thing. I tell my staff, I tell my clients, and that it's family always comes first. If I don't care if we have a meeting and you just no show on me, just let me know. Family, we're good. My staff, I don't care if we have a huge deadline. If you've got family, I'll deal with the clients. I'll deal with the deadline. I'll figure it out. Family always comes first, because that's what we do this. That's what we do this for.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we do this for our family. I'm working to make money, but I'm working to make the money to be able to take care of my family.
Right. And to be able to spend time with them.
Exactly. No, exactly. And that's something that I don't know if you know this in the accounting industry where I'm at. It's kind of the opposite. It's all about you put in your dues, and the more hours you work, it's kind of like a badge of honor not to see your family, not to be at home. It's oh well, I spent 80 hours in the office. Well, I spent 90 hours in the office. Oh well, those 10 hours you could have been working and moving up. The companies don't care. They're trying to get the most out of you, and then they sit there and proclaim this work-life balance kind of thing, and it's just like, yeah, but how can I have a work-life balance if I spend all of my time here? Let me tell you something that really kind of the final straw for me was why I went out on my own to kind of do my thing was I went for a job interview to a pretty big firm, one of the big like top 10 in the world. So I went in there and I was like, I'm going to do taxes for them, corporate taxes, big jobs and everything. I walk into the interview and they walk in, there's like 4 people. It's like a panel. They come in and they walk in, and one of the ladies as she's walking in, she goes, it was right after a holiday. She's like, yeah, my kids were telling me that they wanted to they wanted to come into the office with me. And the other guy was like, well, why? Oh, because I spend so much time here. They think that it's fun to be at the office. So they wanted to spend time with me and come into the office with me. And that was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, how can you, and I've known personal experiences where people have worked so hard, and respect to them, if that's what you want to do and you want to focus on work, that's nothing against you, that's your prerogative. But, I've known people that have worked and worked and worked and gotten to the top, and you think it's going to get easier and it doesn't. And then, 20 years go by and your kids, they don't know you. And then at that point you're like, oh, well, you're getting older and I want to reach out to them, or they've got grandkids. They don't know you. And at that point, it's going to be a lot harder to create that relationship with them than it is kind of doing. So that's why I love what you're doing. I love what you're about, because, that's what I see that so much come out in on Instagram, or we connected on Instagram, by the way. We're Instagram BFFs.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you know now.
And speaking of Instagram, I saw a story that you had posted about, I think it was maybe yesterday. We were trying to take the day off. Yesterday was Sunday. If you guys, I don't know what day we're listening here, but yesterday was Sunday, and you were saying that you were like in rest mode, and you're trying to hang out with your family, but your brain was working. And I think that the way that we're designed is that you're working hard and you're working toward a purpose, but when you rest and when you have joy with your family and when you're spending that time of laughing with them and your mind is at ease, that's where creativity actually flows, is in rest. And that's why I think we're designed to have at least a day or two of rest, to spend time to reconnect, because that's where you start getting everything kind of creatively coming at you. But write it down, but don't attack it until continue to stay in rest, and then attack it when it's time for business. But yeah, it people think, oh, I can't take a break to hang out with my kids right now because I have all this stuff I got to do, without realizing if you actually took a few minutes of rest time, playtime, and really just be there in the moment with your kids and with yourself, you have no idea what it would do for your work life later when you return to work, because then your mind is clear, your mind is rested, you're actually making good decisions instead of making decisions from this overly exhausted mind that you've been working all week long. So yeah, but it reminded me of that when I saw you were just like, I'm sitting here chilling, but all these ideas keep coming. And that's what happens. And it happens to me too. And as much as I prioritize my family time and my family life, I've said this, I have a new podcast called Mama Morsels. And one of the tips that I've given on there is being present with your family, being present with your self-care and with yourself does not mean, oh, quit your job. You got to become a hippy dippy and don't work anymore and just live in that space. No, it just means when you're present, you can be really present. And if ideas come, great. Have a little notepad, write it down, let it go. And then Monday morning, that's where you attack it, because a lot of ideas that you get come out of that rested space.
Oh my God, you are so right. I never thought about that until just when you're saying that now, because I feel like the best time that those ideas come is when I'm sitting there playing hide and go seek with my daughter, who can kind of walk, because at that age it just kind of they can walk and they can kind of halfway run, and I'll be sitting there playing with her, and then I'm just like, oh, and so I got a little on my phone. I just grabbed a little memo and just kind of do a little voice memo. Okay, this, and, all right, move on to the next one, and then because one thing that I've noticed that we do a lot of, and we're kind of bad about, and I've been trying to tell my wife about this, is when we're there with my daughter, we're there, but you tend to grab your phone, and you tend to start going on Instagram, and you tend to start going on Facebook, you tend to start scrolling through social media. And that's something I told her. I was like, look, when we're here, all three of us, you know, we're eating dinner or we're just kind of hanging out, let's put our phones down and really focus on the moment. You know, because that's something you put a story up, kind of talking about living in the moment, and how, you know, you were saying that your daughters you can't believe they're so grown now, you know, and it kind of like, you're right. I mean, time has flown by so much, but, you know, you can't freak out about the time that's flown. You need to kind of focus on the now and enjoy the now, because, yeah, I mean, that's what it's about, is spending time with your family.
My kids are losing their teeth. I gave my daughter a hair trim yesterday. It was the first trim ever. I realized after I cut it that she had never had her hair cut before in her life, and I was like, oh my god. I remember waiting. My older daughter Ellie, who has so much hair now, she didn't have hair when she was born. She was bald, and then I waited so long for just this amount, like just enough to put in a chongo, just enough to put in a little ponytail. And at her first birthday, I couldn't even grab it enough. And I remember waiting so long, and it was so precious to me. Cut to now, I'm just, you know, like, oh, let's just trim it, because there's so much of it. And even when she lost her tooth, she's lost her fourth tooth the other day. And as it came out, we're like happy, jumping up and down. She's so excited. The tooth fairy's coming, all that. And I remembered, I had a flashback to me trying to feed her baby food and realizing that she had a tooth. You know, when your kids are teething and they're going to have their first tooth, it's such an exciting moment. You think it's never going to come because they've been crying for months and months. You're like, when is this tooth going to finally pop? And when it does, you're so excited. And it flashed to me. It was like 1 minute I'm rejoicing over this baby tooth, you know, barely growing, and then the next moment I'm rejoicing because it fell out, and it happened so fast. But I do want to say that I understand, like for me, it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to be able to live in the present moment with my kids, because I come from this industry where you hustle or you lose, or so they tell you, or so you think. And you got to say yes to everything, because you miss that one event, you might miss, you're going to meet that person that's going to change your whole entire life. You might miss it if you don't go to every single thing. Or you might miss it if you're not hustling all the time. You might miss something. And so that's how I was, you know, that's how they train you. That's how you're trained. And it kind of feels like a dog eat dog business. And you better be the first one to get there. So you're always on and you're always working. It took me a long time to break out of that. And I think for people who can't understand, you know, people who work a lot and who actually love what they do, because I actually love working. So it was hard for me at first to say, well, I mean, this does feel like play to me because I'm working. So it's not like I'm, you know, at this job that I hate and I can't stop doing it. I actually love what I do. And I think in those transitional periods when I couldn't understand what people were saying, when they were saying, just live in the moment and just hang out. And it didn't compute with me at that time. And my husband and I would go on vacation. And this was before kids. We'd go on vacation and we would try. And our first steps, we would say, you know, okay, no phones. We're going to have no phones all day today. Leave your phone in here. You know, we'd go to Hawaii or we'd go to the Bahamas and we'd go leave our phones in the hotel room. And because of the nature of our business, it's always going. So there were things happening. You know, he runs several schools. So there were things happening that were calling his attention. And you know, there were things with me happening, like tour dates were getting booked and stuff, and they needed to know my answer yes or no, because it is technically a work day even though I'm vacation, and you hope that your people have it covered, but they still need your approval for certain things.
Hear me, T? We've got a bad connection, so I don't have you right now, but I do like what you're talking about. I think it's very valuable information, because it is hard to disconnect. And if I'm interrupting you, I'm sorry. I just know, I think we got a bad connection. And so, no, I think, you know, kind of talking about that it's hard to disconnect. It's very hard to disconnect. Oh, and I think we dropped her. So.
So things would happen, things would happen even though I'm on vacation. It's technically a work day. And so we would be out trying to do this, be present with each other thing, and be stressed out all day because we know that we're missing things. And so that didn't work for us. And I'll tell you what our transitional move was that actually really helped us. Because at the end of the day, like, he'd come home and jump on the phone really quick, or he'd be back in the room jumping on the phone. And then we become resentful of each other, because then you look like, well, I could be doing that too, but I'm not, because we made a promise, blah, blah, blah. And so on vacation, and even sometimes now on vacation, because we have businesses that we own and that we run, and there are employees under us, we will, if there needs to be business taken care of, we will choose 1 hour of the day, and it's usually an early hour. So we will say, okay, tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. we work. So do all the work you need to do on that time. I'll do all the work that I need to do. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's all we got. And if we need to do it the next day, fine. But we take that hour, we send off all the responses, do everything. Nothing terribly crazy is going to happen within that next 24 hours. So once, all it takes is 1 hour to be able to be present and eased of our mind for the rest of the day. After that, it really has been, it was such an important step for us, because we figured it out, and not everybody's the same. That's just what worked for us. And so to be able to get back to employees that needed our approval on things, or my manager, or a schedule that changed, something like that, instead of me not getting back for 7 days, sometimes what worked for me to be present was to work for 20 minutes every day, and then just let it go, because I know that the next day I can work for 20 minutes in the morning, and then after that give my full attention to my kids with a sense of a peace of mind that everything's okay for now. Like, it's not getting piled up for the next 7 days.
Oh my God, I love that idea. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, like, because that happens to be too. Me and my wife go out, and then she's got a not a stressful job, but demanding job, and so there are a couple of times when we're on vacation, and she'll get an email or she'll get something, and so next thing you know, we're both kind of 2-3 hours in. But I love that idea, just to kind of take 1 hour in. I know something I started doing, at least when I go on vacation, is there's an app called Boomerang that'll pause your emails. I don't know if you know about it or not, but it'll pause your emails, and it'll only send it to you within a specified time you want it to. So that's something I started doing. It's just like, my emails come in the mornings, and then that's it for the rest of the day. So you don't get notifications, you don't get anything. And then the next morning, whenever it opens back up, then, then they all start coming in. But then, but I love the fact that you take 1 hour, because I know for us, it ends up being 3-4 hours, because you're all over the place trying to kind of do this and that. And you're right. 24 hours there's nothing that needs to be done right away.
And even if you set a little, an email signature, or email, what's that called? Why can't I think of it? Like when you,
the out of office?
The out of office auto reply.
Yeah.
If it says something like, out of town, will reply within 24 hours. That's not a crazy amount of time. And then, if emails are coming in the day, that's the response that they're getting. They know that they'll get an email within the next 24 hours. You know that your work time tomorrow is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And after that, you're going to be good. It just, for me, it helps me to stay present, which sounds, like it doesn't really make sense to say I need to work in order to be present. But it for me to be able to have that workspace in that, just that sliver of workspace, helps me to just let it go for the rest of the day and hang out with my kids and hang out with my husband.
No, I mean, it's not crazy. Because it's right, because we're running our own businesses, and that's where unfortunately, that's kind of the downside of entrepreneurship is you have to be present. I mean, you're the one calling the shots. It's your business, and you call the shots. But so no, the fact that you get that out of the way, I think is brilliant. That you set that time, like, look, we're on vacation, but just this time we'll get our coffee, we'll open up the laptops, and we'll work. And don't talk to me, I won't talk to you. I don't know if you guys do that. That's kind of how sometimes I tell my wife, I don't even look at you.
It's just we just both no, we're kind of in the zone, and it's,
Yeah.
sometimes if I need to throw him an idea that I need to bounce off of him, I can do it then, or I can do it later on in a conversation,
Hmm.
at the pool. But it's more chill because it's my husband. It's not like a business contact I'm having a meeting with.
Yeah, no, 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 for sure. I mean, I love that idea. That wow, like that, I love it. I mean, that's something I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna start preaching it, and I'm just gonna
Yeah.
look. My girl T told me this. This is how it is. So I mean, it's just even more hype. I'm gonna hype you up even more.
And
So,
then and for me, as the girls started to get older, as my daughters started to get older, Ellie's in kindergarten, and so she's at school, and sometimes when she's out of school, it's 1:30, 2 o'clock, and I'm still not technically done with what I have to do on that day. I've had to rearrange my schedule to where most days I have to be done at that time, but sometimes I have one more call or one more meeting. So as long as I let her know and I say, babe, here's from this time to this time, mommy's got to go invisible, but here's what I have planned out for you. And I have, her favorite episode of something, or we have these, cool educational games she likes to play on the phone. And then after that, I can let it go, as opposed to just constantly texting back all day until dinner time.
no, yeah, I love it. For my daughter, it's her zone out is Plaza Sésamo. She just watches it and just and
Yeah.
then starts dancing and everything. It's the cutest thing in the world. But
Yes.
no, that I love it. I mean, and that's kind of, I think that's great, because I mean that's how you can be in the moment. That's what it's about, is and being in the moment doesn't have to necessarily mean, like you said, just kind of enjoying it there. I mean, we all have our own versions of what that means. As long as we're just happy and relaxed and enjoying life, I think, to me, that's what it means. Whatever capacity that means. Where, like you said, you have to work a little bit, or some people have to completely shut off their phones. Because I've got a buddy of mine that when he goes on vacation, he shuts his phone off, because if he's not, he's working. He's
Right.
working. He's working. He
Right.
cannot disconnect. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. I can. I can take
Right.
a step back. I can take a step back, and I can be like, okay, but I do like that idea of the just 1 hour of just work, and that's it. So
Yeah, I think it's whatever works for you. And prior to that, my husband and I, we both would work a lot. And so we'd become resentful of each other on vacation when one of us would pull out our phone. So it worked for us in our situation to just know when that time was. So we expected it of each other.
So let me ask you this. And I don't know if this is going to be a very loaded question, and if this is a easy response or not, but for you getting started in the entertainment industry, kind of, if you have, I guess, one piece of advice for people that want to do it, is there one thing that you can kind of say to them, or is this something that maybe I'll have to book you on another podcast
No,
to talk about? Because I mean, if we're going to do that, I'm okay with that too.
no. It's been so long for me in this industry that things keep changing.
Okay.
And I don't think I expected that at the beginning. I think, when I first started, especially in music, you get a manager, you sign to a record label. That record label gives you a living stipend so that you don't have to go and work, because they want you, because they've signed you now. So they give you some money up front so that you can be constantly thinking about music, so that you can put out a good product. They hook you up with the producers, they hook you up with songwriters if you need them.
Okay.
It's on their timeline that everything is released. They figure out who the video director is going to be, and you can put in your input and all of that, and they hook you up with all of these people. Like, that was your umbrella, like that was your
Okay.
parent who would guide you through. I mean, there were even media training um, sessions that we would do, choreography, fitness, all of that. The label used to help you do.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Oh
So
wow.
in the very beginning, now you've got to, find your own producers. You got to make your own. Now you don't even need a label to get put on iTunes. You don't need a label. You don't need radio play even. Before that, if you weren't on the radio, where would you hear the music?
Yeah.
You wouldn't hear it anywhere. So you had to get on the radio. The only way to get on the radio was through a record label. It was just a completely different system than it is now. And so I think when I first got into the business, you just assume that it's always going to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn that way. But then when that way turns into a different way, you're you're not sure what to do, and you're not, you start doubting yourself, like, am I a dinosaur now? I don't belong here anymore. Like, this is for a new crowd. And I think my advice to someone starting in any industry really is to just stay pliable, stay ready for change. Work hard at what you have in front of you, work hard at the system that you have, get to know that, but don't be surprised if everything changes. Everything changes by the minute nowadays, online with apps, everything changes. And so I think preparing your mind for that and not being so surprised that you get caught off guard and thrown way off track would help. Just knowing that things will probably possibly change, and it's fine, and just start learning along the way, ask for help when you need it. And I think people would always tell me this before, but I didn't really know how true it was until I went through it. But it takes so long to make an overnight success. People don't realize how many ups and downs there are. I think when people have interviews, you see different artists and producers and filmmakers, they have these interviews, and you find out the one hard thing they went through, but they still kept going anyway. And you prepare your mind for, like, okay, I can get through one big thing, and you have no idea how many 47 smaller things they went through. That's just the one that they talk about. That was the one that hit the hardest. But there were days, where Monday was awesome, and you had a show and it was greenlit, and then on Thursday it all went crashing down. But on Friday something else happened. So now there were all those little things that happened as well. And I think just knowing ahead of time that that's going to happen, and that it's okay, and that there will be peaks and there will be valleys, and the valleys are actually not to be wasted. You can't waste those times when you're down, because those are the biggest learning lessons. Those are the times when you have the time to just stop and recalibrate, reconfigure everything, and then go again. And it will, when you do that, when you take advantage of your downtime, it will make your downtime a lot shorter. When you don't take advantage and you just see it as a setback, or just maybe this isn't for me, or you get stuck there, and it prolongs your downtime, and it takes so much longer to get back up. So I think that's those two things would be my major advice. Always stay pliable, ready for change. Know that change is okay, and it's part of the process. And it doesn't mean that you're not meant for it if everything you learn changed, because it's always going to happen. And the second thing is to just not waste your valleys, not waste the downtimes. Really pay attention to those and understand that those are part of the process. It's not a yes or no. It's just, it goes like this, and it's part of the process. Take advantage of it so that your valley time is a lot shorter.
Oh my God. Yes. I mean, wow. Yeah. No, that is such great advice, because that's something that, primarily entrepreneurs come and talk to me, and then they have one setback and they're like, oh, I can't do this, I'm done. It's like, well, it's not what it's about. You've got to keep pushing forward. I mean, is this what you're passionate about? This is your purpose. That's what you told me. You want to help people. You want to do this, or this is what you feel you're meant to do on this earth. That don't let one setback. The setback is it's a setback. It's not just,
right.
It's not for you to stop. And you've got to, I mean, I think you hit it on the head. Big. You said it way better than I would. Much more eloquently than I would. I just say, just keep going.
And I think when you find your purpose, if what you want to do is help people, for instance, and say that's financially, say you want to help people financially, great, then hold on to that, but don't get attached to the surface jobs that you have doing that. Say you want to help people financially, and you have a job at a bank, and then you lose that job. It's not about you not being able to help people financially. It's just about you now have to do it in a different way. Or you're still doing it at home. If that's your purpose, then it's not just attached to a job title. Then if you're doing it all the time. You're helping your mom with her taxes. You're helping your sister with her family budget. You're teaching your kids how to do it. If it's your purpose, you're always doing it. So when you switch from job to job, it doesn't feel like a loss of identity. It just feels like a loss of one phase in that purpose. And you're moving on and you're growing.
Oh my God. Your job is not your identity. Yes. of all the things you said, I think that that's the most valuable right there. Is your job is not your identity. We value too much a job title for our identity, but
Right.
it's not.
Right.
Not because I mean you can go and get another job somewhere else with a different job title doing it doesn't matter. It's all about you said your purpose. That's what it's about. As long as the job fits in with your purpose.
Well, and learning that is a hard it's a hard learned lesson. You know,
Yes.
it's not like I wasn't born with that epiphany. Like I had to learn that because I did attach my identity to every job that I had. And at the very beginning, I was concentrated mostly on music. So when my music career wasn't doing as well, or was going really badly, actually, I would have an identity crisis because I'd go, well, I thought I was a singer. Am I not a singer? Or, what am I? Who am I now? And I had to just find the thing for me that was going to stay and stick no matter what job title I had. So I actually did this recently, even in my Instagram, in my Instagram bio, because prior, even last year, 2 years ago, it would say, and it still might at the bottom, but it would say, singer, speaker, radio host, TV host. It was all these things because those are technically the titles. But I stopped and I thought, okay, in order to make my mind less clouded, if I'm offering someone a service, if they're going to collaborate with me on a project or hire me to host their show, whatever, what have you, what is the one service in all of these things that I provide? And for me, I had to dig deep, I had to do some soul searching. And I think for me, it came down to one word. And for me, that was hope. And last year, I really had to think about this to just get down to one thing that I do, one thing that I impart, one thing that I hope that people get from me and that I hope to spread around. And when I listen to people's stories of overcoming, when I listen to, the way people grew up and how the odds were against them and they still continued on. When I hear a mom saying it's been really hard for her, but she created this business and she took her kids along for the ride and it's working out, it gives me hope that, I can do it. And if I'm listening to that on a hard day for me, that really helps me. So I hope to give that as well. So I changed my the service that I provide in my mind for me is now what I hope people get from me. So it says igniting conversations of hope and inspiration on camera and behind the mic. So whether I'm doing that in music or TV or at lunch with a friend of mine, or I work a lot with St. Jude, whether I'm doing it there, no matter where I'm doing it, that's the one thing that's consistent. It's my constant, and it keeps me from feeling like, oh, I'm not doing that project anymore, and now I'm doing this, so I have to change everything up. I don't. Like, that's what I do, whether I'm doing it in a collaboration with your company or for myself on a daily basis.
Oh, I love it. No, that's awesome. That's something, to be honest with you, that's something I'm working on right now, is trying to hone in that specific, because I offer all these services, but what do I really offer? Services. Yeah, but it's just like,
and maybe what you really offer isn't something that you broadcast. Maybe in your mind you're saying, I want to offer people security and who they really are, or more time for them to enjoy their families. Maybe that's not what your bio says or your business card says, but you just know that. And if you know that, it's easy to attach yourself to certain projects because you know that they align with that. And it's a lot easier to say no when it is just going to distract you from your main purpose. And then you have more time to spend with your family, and the things that you actually do end up picking up, they are really worth it for you. And you're really
no, that is, yeah. You're just dropping knowledge bombs left and right. I mean, my gosh, I might have to charge people to listen to this episode. It's some good stuff you drop in here. I do want to. So you just recently released a song, correct? Or am I wrong?
There's been a couple releases in the past year, but which song were you talking about?
There was one that I saw you did a video. I watched the video because my daughter was dancing to it. about the farm workers and how you were kind of talking
Yes,
about your
yes.
family.
Vívelo.
Yeah. Yes, that's the name of it. Is that the newest one you've released?
It's not the newest one,
Okay.
but I kind of did a re-release around Cesar Chavez Day because that it has a lot to do with why I wrote it.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay. Now, I just want to say, if you guys haven't listened to it, top notch. For those of you listening to the audio, I highly recommend it. So,
Thanks. And that was one of those songs. What's so funny is, you know, I'm a songwriter, and sometimes it takes me, honestly, sometimes it takes me months to write one song because it, you know, things come up, ideas come up, and I'm like, nope, that's not it, or I think it's not good enough, and I keep restructuring it. And there are some songs that just come like that. That was one of those songs that just came very easily, and it came from a place of, you know, a lot of times my best songs I feel like would come from when I'm just driving, because you're so zoned out, you're not trying really hard.
Mhm.
And sometimes I go in the studio and I'm trying really hard, like you're in the studio with Timbaland, you're trying
Yeah.
really hard, and sometimes that's the block, because you're trying so hard and you're not just letting it flow. But it's hard, it's hard because you want it to flow, but you're intimidated and you want to impress people.
Yeah.
But I feel like when my brain is at a moment of rest, when I'm like just driving, ideas will just come, and I'll just pick up, you know, my voice note, record it a little bit. But that was one of those songs, it just came very easily. And I wrote it about, you know, my family, my mom's side of the family came from Mexico, and they, you know, my grandpa, my grandma, they all worked in the fields. My mom did too, picking strawberries. And I, you know, with my grandma, there, when she first came here to this country, and, you know, me growing up knowing her as I was little, watching her, she has such grace and such, you know, she could always just make something out of nothing. But she was always very safe and doing everything that she was doing. She wanted to definitely stay within the lines because that's just the way they were raised. When they were to come here, they didn't want to make any waves.
Mhm.
And my mom was one that was the exact opposite. She just wanted to bust through everything. And I always wished that I had that type of strength. I think I fall somewhere in the middle. But what I really knew, what I wanted to do with my life, and with the price that was paid before me, you know, I feel like all that happened. They came and they worked hard, and
Mhm.
they did that kind of work, and I get to just get up on stage and sing some songs to make money. You know, they did all of that. They laid down this foundation just so I could have a fun job here as a Latina in the United States. And so with that, I didn't want to just survive here. I want to thrive, and I wanted to show us as the Latino culture that that's what we're here to do. You know, I feel like a lot of times we're not trying to disturb anybody, and I think we're here, and we got to get out of that mentality and just really go for it.
No, I mean I agree 100%. You know, my grandma, both of them, or at least on my dad's side, she had missing fingers from working in the factories in Chicago. You know,
Wow.
working 12-hour days and stuff. You know, my grandpa just going where the work was, Chicago, California, Colorado. You know, just going around and everything, and you know, giving my parents trying to give them a better life, and so my parents as well. You know, they were born over there. They came here first. You know, so I'm first generation born here, but that's the same thing. I'm trying to kind of live my best life, you know, trying to, like you said, not survive but thrive, you know. And
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean they've worked hard to give me this life, you know. They my dad was working at one point, like my dad worked a lot, but he was always present. Every soccer game, every soccer tournament, he would work overnights and then go and wait and then stay up all night. So he worked during the day, then work a second shift overnight, show up at 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning, pick us up. Let's go to an all-day soccer tournament that I had. Would go there, coach the game, and then finally
Wow.
10 o'clock at night, when we're finally done with everything on the way home, he'd finally get to sleep. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah.
like, you see that, you know, and so it's like I want to do, you know, I want to do for me, but same thing, you know, for the, you know, the community. It's like, you know, well, we're here, we want to thrive, you know, like you said,
Yeah.
we don't want to survive. So I think that's perfectly put. Perfectly put. But you know, we're coming up to the end of it. I do want to say thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, you have dropped some just boom, mind-blowing stuff that just I think is going to be
So
very
glad.
valuable. And then so what I'm going to do, I'm going to post your website, your Instagram, and then I guess if you have any other social media, we'll post it up on down low. You can listen to us on podcast, YouTube, and I think that's it. I mean, Teaser, anything else you'd like to say before we head out?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate your voice. I think that it's really important for us to, especially in a time now where we are able to put our voice on a platform if we can. And some people are intimidated by that, or they think that, there's so many other people are saying the same thing that I want to say, and you can't let that get in your way, because I think that certain people, you find a like-minded person that's saying the same thing maybe somebody else is, but I like the way you're saying it better. So I actually get tips from you that are really feeding me and helping me in my life. And so I think that's important to do, and I appreciate that you were courageous enough to just make this big platform and to really speak. And yeah, I love that, and I appreciate you having me on.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. So, all right, guys, we'll let y'all go, and y'all have a wonderful day. Thanks.
Bye.